It's all too much.
That's all right. That's all right. Your critter brain, all of you, maybe some of you more than others, is on overdrive because we're getting closer to Thursday. So until basically your critter brain's like, you still have a chance to back out and you still have until tomorrow. Like this, there's still time for you not to do this. So it's really, really scared. And it's going to keep reminding you that this is a huge change, a difficult change, an unsustainable change. This is the one that comes up a lot, but this is where your responsibility comes in to override the objections, to remind the critter brain that you are going to be safe, and to explain, which is what we're going to do today. Because what happens with traditional diets, right? Anytime you go nutritionist, dietitian, and this is not out of any disrespect for anybody, but this is just what happens. They just give you a meal plan, right? It's like a sheet of paper. Eat this for breakfast, eat this for lunch, eat this for dinner. And without any real explanation as to why. Why am I having this for breakfast, this particular food? Why am I having this other particular food for lunch? Why am I having, like, what is the purpose of this arrangement of the food? What is the purpose of each ingredient? You don't really get that with conventional diets, right? And if it's, like we said, if it's all, the focus is just about changing the number on the scale, you almost don't need an explanation. Like, just, I'm going to follow it and let's just see the numbers change. But when you're talking about healing, and especially when you are talking about creating a lifestyle change, so this is not something you're just going to do for a short while and then be done with it. We need to go deeper because, for one thing, as women, as human beings, we need to have our intellect on board. We need to be asking questions. We need to understand. Like, gone are the days when somebody can just sort of hand you information or hand you a piece of paper like that, and then you just follow it blindly. Like, we've all been there, done that. Like, I need to be engaged more. Like, I need to be treated like this thinking human being, and not just given simple information without explanation, you know, without support. Like, I need a deeper understanding. So what we're doing in this program is doing all of that. It's not just about you following the eat list and don't eat that list. It's about really understanding what's going on and what's working. And when we're talking about healing, the easiest way to explain how to heal and why we need to heal and why disease happens in the first place, it happens because of two things: toxicity and deficiency. That's it. And that's why you can all have the same, all have the different symptoms, but the solution is the same: toxicity and deficiency. Toxicity from the foods that you're taking in, anything you're eating or drinking. Toxicity can also come from the air, from pollution. Toxicity also comes from products that you put on your body, and we're going to get to that in week 3. Toxicity also comes from your thoughts, and it comes from things like stress. So all of these things have to be filtered by your liver too, believe it or not. But all of those things combined cumulatively create disease in the body. Toxicity creates disease in the body, and it comes in the form of inflammatory foods, inflammatory drinks, inflammatory products, inflammatory thoughts. But then the other missing piece is, it's not enough just to remove the toxicity in all its forms. You have to address the deficiency. So disease also happens because certain things are missing. So and I see this with a lot of people, they'll remove wheat, and they'll remove, gluten products, and they'll remove dairy products, which are toxins. And over time, they build up in the body and create inflammation and disease. But then they haven't addressed the deficiency. And you can't heal unless you're doing both things at the same time: getting rid of the toxicity, replenishing the deficiency. So what we're starting with is food, because it's the easiest thing to start with. We can't do anything about the pollution in the air. It is what it is. Maybe something you can do is put an air filter in your home, or if you have an opportunity to leave the city for the weekend, then do that. But it's not something that is like you can change it this second. The only thing you can change literally with your next meal is the toxicity that you're taking in from food. The other thing that you can change right away is your beauty products, and that's why we get to that in week 3. The other one, emotions and dealing with stress, that's a little bit more long-winded. It's not something you can change instantly. It takes practice. It takes focusing on what your mind is trying to trick you into thinking. I am going to show you how to deal with that, but in terms of immediate results, relief from toxicity, we start with what you're eating and what you're drinking. So that's why we're removing that list. The wheat, the dairy, the sugar, the artificial sweeteners, the corn, the soy, that whole list that you've got. And some of those things might be very obvious to you, like obviously artificial sweeteners, maybe you make sense, right? Aspartame, all of these things, they're fake. Maybe those things are easy for you to identify with as toxins. Maybe it's easier for you to identify with alcohol and caffeine as toxins. As much as you might love your caffeine, you know on a deeper level that it's not a healthy food, right? It's not something that's going to make you healthy. But then the other ones that are really cause people to just stop and pause are the things that we've been eating our entire lives, right? Bread, cheese, pasta, like all of these things. Junk food makes sense to you to remove, but the things that our parents always ate, our grandparents always ate, these are the ones we wonder about. Like specifically, why bread? Like bread comes from wheat. Wheat grows in nature. So why is bread something we need to remove? Dairy we need calcium. Everybody drinks milk. Everybody should be drinking milk. Everybody needs calcium. It comes from a cow. It's natural. So why are we removing dairy? So this is what I want to talk to you today about, those particular ones that you might have questions about. Here's the thing with the three big ones: wheat, dairy, also eggs, right? And animal protein in general. When we're looking at wheat, and what do we make out of wheat? We make bread, we make crackers, cookies, cereals, pasta, any type of wheat. So even whole wheat, beledi bread, brown bread, the darkest bread that you can find, right? If it's made from wheat, it's got three problems with it. One, it's a genetically modified seed, wheat. Two, turns into sugar in your body. And three, it contains gluten. So the argument is, but we've always eaten wheat. Well, not quite. If we look at the evolution of man, and man is about there's variations. Some people tell you first man was about 100,000 years ago, 150,000 years ago. Some say 200,000 years ago. So let's just go with 200,000 years. First man, right? 200,000 years ago, ancient man was eating basically whatever was readily available to him. So that was plants, that was seeds, and they hunted for animals. They hunted for whatever animals happened to be around. At the time, it was like buffalo, gazelle, like whatever it was 200,000 years ago. And it wasn't a lot. They didn't have a lot of animal protein because it wasn't that easy to hunt. Right now, we just go to the supermarket, you pick up your animal protein, that's all you need to do. But 200,000 years ago, it was an effort, right? And it was a community effort to go and hunt and then bring this animal back and then slaughter this animal and then get it ready to eat and take like all the bits and pieces that they need and then store away what they need. It was a process. So it wasn't something that they just went out and ate every single day, but they ate it. They ate animal protein. And then they also ate, like I said, whatever plants and fruits and seeds were available to them that could be easily consumed. So in terms of physiology, we haven't changed hardly anything from that ancient man in terms of our digestive system and our physiology. The thing that's evolved the most is our brain. But in terms of how our body functions and what our body needs in terms of nutrients, it's the same. So wheat was only introduced into our food chain. So keep in mind then for 190,000 years, man was only eating animal protein, plants, vegetables, nuts, seeds, things like that, things that are easy to find and easy to prepare. And then about 10,000 years ago, in Egypt, they introduced the wheat seed. I don't know how it was introduced. Wheat appeared 10,000 years ago, which means that for 190,000 years, man did not consume wheat. So right away, this sort of obliterates the argument that we've always eaten wheat. No, we have not always eaten wheat. We've eaten wheat for the past 10,000 years only. And the wheat seed that was introduced was an old ancient seed that has nothing to do with the wheat seed, the modern seed that we have today. About 150 years ago, 100 years ago, with the agricultural revolution and industrial revolution, they decided to create a brand new wheat seed created in a lab. That's why it's called genetically modified. So it has nothing to do with the ancient seed. They created a brand new seed that was very strong and very tough so that they can create a crop that yields tons and tons and tons and tons of wheat. Somebody decided we're going to move away from being hunter-gatherers and just basically eating what we find in nature, and we're going to move into creating massive grain-based nutrition for the world. And that included wheat, that included rice, corn, and soy. So this is where you see most of the world's agriculture shifting into things we didn't really rely on before. So even 10,000 years ago, when they used to eat the wheat, it wasn't every single meal. It wasn't like they wake up and have breakfast, bread and cereal, and then they have it at lunch, and then they have it at dinner. It was also made using a very different process. Nowadays, we don't have that ancient seed anymore. We have the modern seed, which is genetically modified, and anything that's genetically modified, that also includes corn and soy, created in a lab so they can just produce huge crops, means your body doesn't recognize it. Our body does not recognize something created in the lab. And that includes like 50% of the things you find in supermarkets these days. Body just can't recognize it. It's a toxin. It's a poison. And not only is it a toxic and a poison and genetically modified, the quantities that we're consuming in modern times is 10 times, 20 times more than what was consumed 10,000 years ago. And it's the processed kind. Like I said, it's created differently. And now you're going to find wheat, you're going to find gluten and things you shouldn't find gluten in, right? Like if you buy ready-made packaged food, you're going to find gluten in it. If you're going to buy salad dressings, you're going to find gluten in it. You go out and eat in most restaurants, they have some kind of gluten as a thickener added to most food. So it's sort of become ingrained in everything that we eat, and we don't even need it. Like in terms of nutrition, it's anything that's made from wheat or grains, we call them dry, dead, and dumb carbs, right? They're not alive. There's no the nutrients and the minerals and the vitamins and all of that. They're just not there. And yet these products are everywhere. When you look on supermarket shelves, they're everywhere. Anything made from wheat, look at the different types of bread, look at the different types of pasta, look at the sheer amount of processed food in the supermarket. It's dead food. And we're being sold that this is food when actually it's not. So that's the argument for wheat and why we're moving away from meat. The other thing about wheat is it turns into sugar. Not like the sugar from fruits. It turns into the toxic sugar that creates non-alcoholic fatty liver, the sugar that creates heart disease, the sugar that leads to diabetes. It's the sugar that your body doesn't recognize. Your body only recognizes and only uses the sugar from fruits, natural fruits, just like we did 100,000 years ago. That's where they got their fuel from, the sugar from fruits. So, and you'll see, and if you look at anybody who has diabetes specifically, right? How many fruits are they eating? Or how many fruits did they eat until they got diagnosed with diabetes? None, almost. People stay away from fruits because there's been a myth circulated that the sugar in fruits is what makes you sick and what gives you diabetes. So the recommendation by doctors is stop eating fruits, stay away from fruits, don't eat dates, don't eat bananas, don't eat mangoes, don't eat grapes. But then they're okay to eat a little bit of bread, right? Or like have a half a piece of bread in the morning or have a little bit of rice. Like nobody gives the recommendation to move away from the dry, dead, and dumb carbohydrates. And the advice is to stay away from natural sugar. But all you need to do is take a look at anybody you know who has diabetes, or if you have pre-diabetes or insulin resistance, is that you don't really eat a lot of fruits. And most of these people don't really eat a lot of fruits. And even after their diagnosis, they stay away from fruits. It doesn't help their sugar. It doesn't help their diabetes. They stop eating whatever little fruits they used to eat. They still have diabetes. They still have heart disease. They still have high blood pressure because it all comes from the toxic sugar in wheat and wheat products. So that's wheat. The other one that causes a lot of debate is dairy. Now, here's the thing with dairy. We need calcium. We all need calcium, but we don't need it from dairy. Dairy is milk that a mother cow produces for her baby cow. The same way, like all of us, when we were pregnant, our milk came in for our baby. That's in nature. That's when a cow's milk comes in. She gets pregnant. She has a baby. She delivers her baby. Her milk comes in. But for some reason, humans are the only animal, and if you think about it, you will never see an animal in nature. Humans are the only mammal that have decided that after they're weaned off of their own mother, that they're going to continue drinking the milk of another animal. Like even cows don't do that. Cows drink the milk of their mother and then they're finished. Lions drink the milk of their mother and then they're finished. We have decided that we need to get our calcium from dairy. We need calcium, we don't need dairy. This milk is created to grow a baby calf. I think baby calves are born to, they're like almost like they're heavy. They're like 50 or 60 kilos, maybe even 100 kilos at birth. Like they're heavy. And that milk is meant to grow them to 500 kilos sometimes, a cow, right? 200 kilos. They're massive. And they're meant to grow using their mother's milk. Cows have 4 stomachs, 4, to digest milk. We have 1 stomach, which tells you something, right? The cow's milk is full of very, very strong proteins, and just the composition of the milk needs 4 stomachs to digest it. We only have 1. So we were not created to consume milk, and especially in the quantities that we consume it, milk, cheese, yogurt, and all of that. So it's really important to remember that dairy is not the only source of calcium. And look at a cow in nature. Again, not a cow in a farm, not a cow in a factory, a cow in a farm that hasn't been, modernized and using factory methods. If you bring your own cow and put your cow in your garden, you're just going to feed it grass. That's what a cow feeds on. Cows in nature don't eat anything except grass. So where do you think this cow gets her calcium from to produce all of this milk that she's going to produce for her baby? She gets her calcium from greens, from the grass. The original source of calcium is leafy greens, which you're going to get plenty of in this program. Nobody gets their calcium from milk except humans. All the animals in nature get their calcium from eating greens. And not all animals need calcium in the same way. So this is the first thing to think about. The second thing with milk is, and then this also is relevant to eating the meat, the red meat of the cow, is we don't have cows that grow in nature anymore. We don't have cows that graze in nature anymore. All the cows that we consume are farmed cows in factories. So they're all collected, massive factories, and they're all sort of, collected in these like big barns or whatever you call them, warehouses. They're not fed just grass the way they're supposed to be fed just grass. They're given soy, they're given corn, they're given garbage, they're given the remains of other animals. And then they're also given antibiotics. They don't get sick and infect each other. And these cows, in order for them to keep producing milk, I mean, you and I, we all know, once we're done feeding our baby milk, like after 2 years, we wean our baby, that's it. And in those 2 years, our milk supply is decreasing. So how do you get a cow to keep producing these incredible amounts of milk years after she's had her baby? They have to pump them full of hormones, artificial hormones. So then you know what happens when they milk the cow, and then they take that milk and you consume it, whether in the form of milk or cheese or yogurt, you end up with all the antibiotics and all the hormones that this cow has been given. All of it ends up in your milk. So again, let's hypothetically say you're going to take a cow, a baby cow, and you're going to grow it in your garden, and you're not going to give it antibiotics. You're not going to give it hormones. You're just going to feed it grass. You're going to have a perfectly happy, hormone-free, grass-fed cow, and that you want to eat the meat that comes from that. You want to drink the milk that comes from that. Definitely better than a factory farmed cow. But this massive cow, and just think of how big cows are, she has her own set of hormones, right? She's got her own estrogen, lots of it pumping through her to run her body. So when you reach a tipping point with your hormones, as everybody here has, and your body's having a hard time filtering your own hormones, your body can't afford to take in the hormones of another animal, even if that animal is perfectly clean, grass-fed, hormone-free. And the same thing, this is in general why we remove animal protein, and then also why we remove eggs. Because eggs, think about what an egg is. An egg is a hormonal control center. Your eggs, our human eggs, chicken eggs, they're literally a hormonal control center. So we are literally having to remove all of these sources that end up, right, when you're having milk and you're having bread and you're having cheese and you're having eggs and you're having coffee and you're having processed foods and you're having packaged foods. That's just toxicity building, 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 building. So this is why we have to remove all of those. And then, based on your symptoms, that this is creating inflammation in the liver. That's an overload of toxins on your liver. And we haven't even talked about your beauty products. Overload of toxins on your liver. And then that's why you're seeing all of the symptoms that you're seeing, because of the cumulative effect of the toxins. So that's why those have to go. Then we have to replenish the deficiency. So replenishing the deficiency is all the things that we're just not taught to eat enough of, right? Like, oh yeah, have a vegetable here and there, have a fruit at least once a day. But we have to flip that around. Like, if the fruits and vegetables have to become the main event in your meals, are fruits and vegetables, and very specific fruits and vegetables for the liver that you're going to see. Specifically, they go in and clear out the liver. The Brussels sprouts, the asparagus, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the mushrooms, the potatoes, the greens, the coriander, the berries. All of these, all fruits and vegetables are healing, but these specifically are really going to go in and target and rebalance the liver the quickest. So we take out the toxins and flood the body with the things that probably you're not used to eating all the time. And that replenishes the deficiencies. And done again, repetitively, cumulatively, this is how you start to heal. So in the same way that you slowly, gradually built up to where you are today, you're going to go backwards, very slowly, very gradually, but actually a lot faster than the time it took you to get unwell. You're going to start to feel better, because as soon as the liver starts to breathe, as soon as it can start to filter, as soon as it can start to offload the toxins, and then you're fueling it with the incredibly, healing, powerful healing foods that you're going to be eating. There's a learning curve there for the liver. There's a time when you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable as the toxins leave your body. But then literally one day you're going to wake up and you're going to start to feel the effects. You're going to start to feel the energy. You're going to start to see that you can sleep better. You're going to start to focus better. You're going to start to see that your cycle is less painful. You're going to start to see that you don't need the painkiller that you used to take every single month. You're going to see that your thyroid is functioning better. Everything that happens to the body doesn't just happen randomly. It's not just bad luck that you end up with what we call a dis-ease. It's because everybody's getting the wrong information. Basically, getting the wrong information about how to take care of this body. Disease is not random. Disease is not inevitable. Getting older and aging the way that maybe you see your family members aging is not necessarily how you're going to age and get older. If you continue to eat the same way that everybody in your family does, then whatever it is that runs in your family, heart disease, diabetes, insulin resistance, thyroid issues, autoimmune, chances are high you will end up just like that, because you're following in exactly the same steps in terms of what they eat, what they drink, how they move, and how they live, and how they handle their emotions and all of that. But even if you have all of these diseases in your family history, the only reason you would end up with those is if you follow the exact same paths. If you break that pattern, and this is what you're all doing here, whether you know it or not, you're breaking a generational pattern of disease in your family. You're going to break that starting today. There's no reason for you, God willing, to end up with the same conditions. There's no reason to. The only reason families inherit diseases is because they all inherit the same way of living. They all inherit the same lifestyle. They all follow the same pattern of eating. Once somebody breaks that, you're going to break it for yourself, which means you're going to break it for your kids and your grandkids. It's done. That's how you break hereditary disease. It has to start with you. And this is all part of the process of becoming empowered and taking responsibility for your health. So it's not easy. And I'm going to keep reminding you of this. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the fact that it's not easy, because what you're doing, you're breaking years and years and years of habits, not just yours, but habits you've inherited from your parents and your grandparents. And that takes effort and that takes courage. But when you think about it, take a moment to just take a breather from your overwhelm and your fear. It's simple. We're removing the toxicity and replenishing the deficiency. That's it. Any questions, ladies? Does that make sense to you? There's a question.
It's amazing. It's really very informative.
All right. This is a private question. Okay. About cattle milk consumption, why humans use it. God said in the Quran, yeah, okay, so this comes up a lot. Here's the thing though. God also says, and I don't remember the exact ayah, that you have a duty to take care of your body. And we don't know potentially what kind of milk God was referring to, right? There are some types of milk that are better than others. So for example, goat's milk, for example, is closer to human milk. So human milk, goat's milk is easier on the digestion. When God is referring to milk or lots of other things, he was referring perhaps to milk back then, right? We know that right now, currently, the situation of milk is inflammatory. We know because you remove it and people get better. So I think those are the kind of things where you have to decide for yourself that, okay, right, maybe God has said this, but we don't know which milk necessarily he was referring to. We don't know exactly. And he also said you need to take care of your body. That's, I think, for me. And when people tell me, well, because a lot of people will say, well, who cares about taking care of the body? Because we're all going to die anyway. And I'm like, well, I mean, yes, we're all going to die anyway. We might as well not do anything in our lives since we're all going to die anyway. But God has actually given you a responsibility to think and to take care of your body. So if there's something that's not working for you, or if your body is breaking down and you're trying to figure out the reason why your body is breaking down, and you realize that dairy is one of those things that's causing it to break down, then this is where we have to start thinking about things and evaluating things. But obviously, I'm not here to tell you how to evaluate, your religious stance on things. I'm telling you the way that it works in terms of modern day nutrition and modern day illnesses. Sally, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand earlier. I was just confused because I had difficulty entering and I was a bit excited. Sorry.
Okay, we don't have a question. No problem. Anybody else have a question? Marianne, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. I wrote on the Facebook group and one of the questions, I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it, as I didn't think I'd make it, and I did make it late in case you did address it.
Okay.
There is something that I'm all for vegan and raw vegan and eating healthy, and I do believe in it. There's one underlying concern that I have, and is the toxicity and the pesticides.
Right.
And I think it when we talked yesterday about tofu, and you said, you highlighted still there's some toxicities, it made me think even more, or even the Beyond Meats and things.
Yeah.
I feel like we're replacing one toxin for another. And while I just can't completely get my head around, although I do eat fruits and vegetables and believe in it, it's that toxicity and the pesticides that still makes me feel wary. Can you help me resolve that, please?
Yes.
Or if you can just share your view on that.
Yeah, definitely. So let me just
Thank you.
clarify that the aim of this program also is not that you go completely vegan unless you want to. The idea is the thing with animal protein is our bodies recognize it. So your body's going to recognize a piece of meat, even a piece of meat that's full of hormones and antibiotics. Your body's going to recognize that and make use of that a lot better than it will make use of a piece of bread or a bowl of pasta. Let's put it that way. Okay. Because it comes from nature. We come from nature. It's part of the cycle of life. Processed foods, anything made in a factory, anything that's in a box, our bodies don't recognize that very well. So the reason we are eliminating animal protein and animal products is for the reason that I mentioned, is that our bodies have reached a tipping point. So we've overconsumed these foods on top of overconsuming the processed foods, and now our body has just reached like a dead end, and that's why we're having all these symptoms. So we need to give it a break. Some of you will take a break from animal protein for the 9 days. Maybe you'll extend it for the whole program and start to feel really good, and then reintroduce it in, minimal portions. Some of you might decide you don't want to bring it in again. Some of you might decide, I'm good with it once a week. You're going to have to go by the way your body responds. So just to clarify, it's not about going 100% vegan. It's about figuring out the ratio of animal protein that works best for you. And that means, what does working best for you mean? It means keeps you symptom free once you've overcome your symptoms. When we're talking about soy and tofu, right, these are processed foods. So soy is a genetically modified crop, as is corn, as is wheat. So that's the main problem with those. These are also sprayed, by the way, in case you don't know. Wheat, specifically corn, they are sprayed with, oh gosh, I've lost the word. I'll share it in the group. So they're actually also sprayed with a toxin that has been linked to cancer. So on top of being a genetically modified crop, they are actually also sprayed with a very specific toxin. When we look at fruits and vegetables, so yes, if you're not buying fruits that are 100% organic, and in Egypt they're not 100%, we get really, really close. And some of the producers have actually been sharing that they've been upping the quality of their product, so that in some cases you will be getting something that's 100% organic. If you're not getting 100% organic, then yes, there is always the risk of the pesticides. But here's the thing, here's the difference between consuming soy, tofu, Beyond Meat, and all of these things created in a lab, which are toxic from A to Z, like there's zero benefit to them. When you consume an apple or spinach or a banana or whatever it is that may not be 100% organic, you still get the benefit of the apple. You still get the healing power of the apple or the banana or the spinach or whatever it is. And then it's very easy with these fruits and vegetables to overcome the issue of pesticides is by peeling them. Very simply, because the pesticides are mostly contained in the peel. So if you're buying produce that is not organic, and it has a peel, you peel it. That's the best way around it. Our bodies are always going to benefit from something that comes from nature and has a healing property, even if it's not produced in the best way. So I would never say don't eat an apple or don't eat fruits or don't eat vegetables if they're not organic, because that's like eliminating like 95% of healing power right there. So your non-toxic, Beyond Meat or your non-toxic whatever it is that you might be thinking of is going to harm you 1,000,000 times more than an apple that's not 100% organic. So you never ever remove fruits and vegetables for fear of pesticide, because the healing power in it overrides the problem that the pesticides may cause. And then always wash really well or peel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sally, do you have a question now? No. Noher, go ahead.
Yes, how are you? This is my first time I joined the Zoom.
Welcome.
Yes. And then I don't know, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to join you because it's in the middle of my work.
Yeah.
As others. I'm overwhelmed with everything I'm reading and Facebook and emails and everything. So I'm lost.
What's one thing that I could say to you today that would put you on the right track?
That am I in day 3, right?
Yes, you are. Yep, today is day 3.
Okay.
So
day 3 of the preparation.
Exactly. Day 3 of preparation. You have one more day of preparation, and then Thursday is when we start the actual meal plan. So my advice to all of you is to always be one day ahead of your shopping list, right? So by tomorrow, you want everything ready for Thursday. You have all the ingredients ready for Thursday. Maybe you start prepping your smoothies. Maybe you make one thing ahead of time. Always on the day before, whether you're at work or whether you come home from work, do a quick check of your fridge. Make sure you have all the ingredients at least for one day ahead. Take it one day at a time. If you find it overwhelming to grocery shop for a few days at a time, to prep for a few days at a time, then always be one day ahead of your schedule. That's the best piece of advice that I can give you. And I don't know if you watched the other videos yet, Noher. The other really important thing to do is to read the email that I send out every morning, because it sort of grounds you and centers you in your program. It creates that intention for you for the day. It focuses you, reminds you of what pages you're supposed to be reading, reminds you of the call, gives you the replay of the call before the day before. So it is an important resource. The Facebook page, you don't have to be on it a lot. Like you can just allocate 10 minutes a day to joining and just looking to see what did I post, what are the questions that are on there, what are people saying, what are the conversations. So the focus should be on reading your material and prepping your food and then joining the conversation on Facebook.
Great. Can I do the smoothie the day before, night before?
Of course. I mean, anything can be prepared the night before. You can prepare your smoothies the day before, the celery juice the day before, the lemon water the day before. You can wash and chop all the vegetables for your salads or the, you know, the vegetable meals that are coming up. Make sure you just put everything in really tight, airtight jars, especially for the smoothies and the celery juice. Buy what they're called mason jars. You can get them on Amazon. Tight, put them inside your fridge, like in the coolest part of your fridge. Don't put them in the door because they'll go bad. And everything can be prepared ahead of time. Everything.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Amira, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amira Deeb, and as Noher just said, I didn't attend the first two sessions, so I was looking for the videos to listen to, and I didn't find them in the Facebook group. So if you can kindly tell us where to find them, that would be absolutely great.
Yes, inside the Facebook group, there is a section called guides. You know, you have where it says media, files, whatever that list options is. One of them is guides. If you don't see it appear directly as an option, click on more, and then you'll get a drop down menu, and guides should be under more. It should be there.
Thank you.
And then the other way to do that, and this is for all of you, whenever there's something you want to, you saw on the group or something you remember reading, or you're looking for something, use the search, the little magnifying glass, click on that, type in day 1, day 2 video, type in sugar, type in gluten, type in whatever topic you're trying to find the answer for. And then you're going to see whatever we ever said about that topic or the videos is going to pop up for you. So anytime any of you are lost in the group, use the search option. It's very, very, very efficient. And then also, Amira, I always share the replays in the next day's email. So tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email, and this replay will be in tomorrow's email.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Lubna, go ahead.
Yeah, two things. Since you're mentioning a verse from the Quran that we're not supposed to نحرم حاجة ربنا حللها علينا. I think this is the basis of the questions or the comments that came to you earlier. You're not doing that. You're just differentiating between the kind of meat that was available then, the kind of milk that was available then, the quality. They were all grass grazed. Everything was natural, and there was nothing artificial. No antibiotics, no the things that they feed the cows. Yes. And the way the cows and the way the goats and the sheep are living now, it's almost inhuman. But so this is where I was like, because we cannot and we should not نحرم حاجة حللها ربنا. Okay, what you're saying is, or you're highlighting that what you're really highlighting is that the quality is so much inferior, it's almost toxic. Yes. That's why you're warning against it. That's number one. The second thing, very important, I think, for me, when you introduced us and you asked us to introduce ourselves, and then you asked us to set a set of goals, my goals were to detox and cleanse my system, start a healthy diet and stick to it, feel energetic, lose body fat if possible, and continue to educate myself and spread awareness. Yes. After a couple of Zooms and reading all the material you've been sending, I think the most important thing now to me, or the realization that I've come to, is healing. I need to heal. Yes. And from that, I'll move on to the next step. I had no idea that my body, thank God it did not start the alarm yet, but I think my body is overloaded. It's overwhelmed with what I've been feeding it over the years. And I think it's a blessing that we stumbled across you. And I hope to start this journey. That this is just what I wanted to say. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. So, I mean, what I'm loving about what Lubna said is that I just want to bring your attention to that when you come into these calls and when you come into the group, it doesn't have to be just about asking a question. If you have, like we call a breakthrough, right? If you have this awareness that comes to you all of a sudden, please come in and share that also. This is also valuable information for yourself and for the rest of the community. So thank you, Lubna. Rasha, go ahead.
Hi, Dana, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I have a couple of, good, thank you. I have a couple of questions. One of them is related to what I was asking you on Facebook, because I play sports. I don't play sports every single day, but when I do, I play sports at 11 and sometimes it's a cardio. And I'm a bit confused. What time should I be taking my smoothie? I understand that I should be taking the lemon water and then the celery juice in the morning, which is okay. And then the smoothie. I usually have my breakfast after sports. I don't know how that, how okay is that? So my question is related to that. My other question is, because we were talking about cortisol levels, and I've always had this confusion of, because I know that when you play sports and when it's something that's strenuous, maybe if it's too much cardio, how do you know that your body is releasing too much cortisol as an alarm that your body is going under a threat or something like that?
Right.
How can I know that this is my limit and I shouldn't exceed my limit, that I am actually doing something, I'm harming my hormones? Because when you have high cortisol, then your body shuts down other systems.
Yeah.
And so this is another question. And my third question is related to intermittent fasting. You were also talking about that you should not be taking fat in the morning. I don't take fat in the morning, but for example, when I have my breakfast after sports, I have an avocado with some olive oil, and that is fat. Avocado is fat, olive oil is fat. And is that because I know that you should be having a breakfast that is full of fat, fiber, and protein.
Right.
So yeah, if you can clarify that too.
Let's break those down one by one. Okay, let me ask
smoothie first.
I'm going to do the cortisol one, right? Symptoms. How do you know that you're not overworking your body? If you have any of the symptoms, like, first of all, if you do a workout and after the workout you're tired, so if a workout doesn't energize you, that's your first sign that that workout is too much for you. So if you do a workout and let's say, I mean, because this happened to me, I would do a workout and right after the workout, I feel okay. But then about 2 hours after the workout, all of a sudden I pass out. Like I just have to sleep, and there's no power that can wake me up. I have to sleep. Or the next day, I'm too tired to work out. If you're feeling any one of those things from your workouts, then that workout is stressing your body and producing too much cortisol. Then that workout is too intense for your body, too intense for your hormones. Those are the first things to look for. If directly afterwards you're tired, or if during the day at some point, instead of having this workout uplift you and give you all this energy, you feel like you have to take a nap, or you wake up the next day and you're like, I can't work out. I'm so tired from yesterday's workout. Those are signs that the workout is too much for you. The other question was intermittent fasting. So the thing with intermittent fasting is, one, the main thing is that this will raise cortisol levels, because your body, if you follow your body's natural rhythm, right, which is you go to sleep by 10 p.m. maximum, and you wake up anytime between 5 and 7 a.m. That's following your body's natural clock. That's what we're supposed to do. When you do that, you will naturally have your last meal around 6 p.m., which means from 6 p.m. until you wake up, let's say you eat right when you wake up at 6 or maybe at 7, that's a natural fast of 12 hours minimum. 11 to 13 hours for most people. And the body needs that time when you're not taking in any food, because that's the time that the body uses when you are least active, right? Because from 6 p.m. onwards is when your day is winding down. Between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. is when the body is winding down or asleep. That's the time that the body uses to rebalance and to regenerate and to heal. And that's the time specifically also between 10 p.m. and 2 or 3, 10 p.m. and 2 or 3 a.m. when the liver regenerates. So it's so important to follow this time frame so that the body basically is functioning optimally. But here's what happens. Modern day living. People don't want to sleep early. And people don't want to wake up early, and people basically want to eat sort of whatever they want, whenever they want. So the nutritional industry sort of came up with something called intermittent fasting, which is right. Don't change anything about your lifestyle. Sleep whenever you want, wake up whenever you want, but then only eat during a certain period of time. So they're trying to sort of like force a process on the body that's completely unnatural to the body and unnecessary because the body already does it. The body already does a natural fast, which is needed. But to do a fast during the hours when your body needs fuel to function, because during the day is when we function. During the day is when you are awake and when you're working out and you're taking care of your kids and you're going to work and you're cooking or you're cleaning. Like during the day is when we live. So during the days when we need fuel, but because they sort of want to simplify things for you and like, right, don't change anything, go to sleep whenever you want, wake up whenever you want, but here's how you can like override that. Here's how you can, you know, kind of damage control for that. Then let's call it intermittent fasting where you just eat in a certain window of time. That stresses the body and that creates more cortisol because the body needs fuel to function. If you wake up and you don't fuel your body to start your day, the body's going to tag that as a stress trigger. It's a stress response. The body's going to pump cortisol. Anytime the body fears not getting food or fears like a potential famine or lack of food or like it's going to starve for any reason, the body's going to produce cortisol. So and then the reason people think intermittent fasting works because basically they wake up and skip breakfast. And most people's breakfast is one of two things, either high fat, so they wake up and have eggs, avocado, cheese, you know, if they're doing some kind of keto or something, or it's a combination of wheat and dairy. So they'll have bread and cheese, or they'll have bread and eggs, or they'll have oatmeal with almond milk. Both types of food are heavy on the liver first thing in the morning. They overload the liver day in, day out, day in, day out. So when you do intermittent fasting, you just skip that meal. You think that you're doing your body a favor and that intermittent fasting is working, but it only looks like it's working because you've taken a load off the liver. But the long-term effect is that you're going to raise cortisol in the process. So in the morning, the liver cannot process fats, cannot process protein, cannot process grains. First thing in the morning, the liver needs, because it's been, even if you're not following the body schedule, the liver is still trying to regenerate at night. It's still trying to rebuild at night. So it's been working really hard at night to rebalance and regenerate and release toxins. When you wake up first thing in the morning, it can't be slammed. And it's literally like slamming it with high protein, high fat, or grains. It needs to be supported. And the best way for it to be supported is with fruits and vegetables. And fruits and vegetables, because they're high in vitamins and live, by the way, live vitamins, live minerals, and live hydration. And no other food has that. To answer your other question, which is, so here's the thing. Having said all that, I'm going to invite you to reconsider what time you wake up and what time you sleep. I know that this is something that we can look at later on down the line, but in order for your body to recenter itself, and this goes for all of you, bedtime, ideal bedtime is by 10 p.m., wake up between 5 and 7 a.m. That's the best way for you to create a body that's going to work for you and supports you, because the body needs your support. Like if you keep pushing it, like sleeping when it doesn't want to sleep, waking up when it doesn't want, staying awake when it wants to sleep, like pushing it is when you're going to see the breakdown happen. So with your workout at 11 a.m., and you had mentioned in the Facebook group, you wake up at 9 a.m. So already by waking up at 9 a.m., your body hasn't had fuel when it needs fuel, which is between 6 and 9 a.m. is when the body needs fuel. So already your body's missing fuel. That means already the body's going into a state of stress, which means already the body, we already have the highest cortisol levels in the morning. So when you skip a meal, that's going to raise cortisol levels even more. Or when you take a meal that's high in protein, high in fat, that's going to raise cortisol even more. So ideally, because it's already 9 o'clock and you haven't had anything, 9 o'clock is when you should have the lemon water and the celery juice, and then have the berry smoothie. Because if you're going to wait until after your workout, that's already 12:30. And your body has had nothing. That's literally going to send your body into a state of panic, and then it's gonna throw off the rest. So if ideally between 12 and 2 is when we're having lunch, we're having that meal lunchtime, and then the last meal is between, let's say, 5 and 7. So it's gonna throw everything off. So I would say if even you can wake up an hour earlier and start the morning routine at 8 o'clock and have your lemon, celery, and smoothie before you go to your 11 a.m. workout, at least that's going to boost you in the morning, keep your cortisol levels from spiking. And even if you're not waking up at 5 or 6 a.m., at least you're not shifting the whole schedule and throwing off basically your liver, and throwing off when your liver wants to function the best.
Okay, I don't know if I can do that. I'm gonna try.
Why
I'll
do
try
you
to
think,
make it gradually.
why do you think you can't do? Which part do you think you can't do, first of all?
Because my whole routine at home, my husband comes back late, he sleeps late, I sleep late, and he doesn't wake up very early.
What's late?
Like I sleep at well, yesterday I slept at 1 a.m. for example. That I never sleep before 1 a.m. So and then I wake up at, let's say, 8:30, 9 a.m. I have my herbal tea, and then I go to sports, and then I have my breakfast. So obviously I'm doing something wrong with postponing my breakfast that far. Maybe that is also adding to the cortisol when I do sports, because sometimes at the middle of the day, maybe at 3 p.m., I feel a bit sleepy. I feel like I need to nap. Maybe that is related to what you're saying. Maybe it's not related to my sports as much as it's related to the routine or the nutrition that I do throughout the day. I'm gonna try.
It's all connected, right? So it's starting with the sleeping.
Yes.
Right? It starts with the sleep. That's going to throw your cortisol off. And then waking up and having a late breakfast. And if you were doing fat for breakfast, that's going to throw your cortisol off. And then the type of workout, if that's stressing, if it's too intense for your body. So I'm going to ask you this. How much longer can you continue to abide by this routine that's clearly not serving you? You get to decide. You get to decide, but it's clearly not working, right? Because you have all these other symptoms that you mentioned, and this goes for everybody. Like, you get to decide, like, here's what I've been doing, and it's habits I've created over time. My critter brain is very happy with this because it keeps me right in my comfort zone. But how much longer can I afford to keep doing something that doesn't serve me?
Well, as so far I've been doing it, like you're saying, and it's sometimes I feel off, some days I feel off, some days I feel fine, perfect, great. My workout gives me this boost of energy that I can't do without.
Right.
So I guess I just need to maybe wake up like every day 15 minutes earlier, so I don't feel like that much of a difference. But I don't think I'll be able to sleep at 10 p.m. I think that's crazy.
I'm gonna catch your thought for you here, and that's something I'm gonna be doing with all of you as we go through. I'm gonna catch your thoughts, right? If you say, I don't think I'll be able to sleep, you've already made that decision, and you've already given your critter brain that instruction. That's it.
Well, my little son, he sleeps at 11 p.m., sometimes 10:30, 11. I just can't sleep before he sleeps and goes to bed for school. I just can't do that.
How old is he?
He's 15 and a half.
I have a 15-year-old, and at a certain point in time, it's where you sort of, have to like let go a little bit. But even if you sleep at 10, 30 or 11 with him, that's a lot better than 1 a.m. That's if you can sleep the same time your son does, like you don't want to let go of that, you want to stay awake and sleep when he does, then 10, 30 or 11 by all means is going to boost your health and lower your cortisol already. Huge difference between 10:30 and 11 and 1 a.m.
I'll try, Dana.
Again,
I'll
I'm
try.
going to catch your thought. I don't know if you watch my other 2 videos. If you say, I'll try, that's not.
Yeah, I did watch your videos. I wasn't participating because I had something to do in the morning, but I did watch them.
When you say I tried, that's inviting all the options in. That means I might not try. That means I might try a little bit. I might try for 1 day and not the rest of the time. Here's the thing with this, and this goes for this entire journey and this is for everybody, not just for Rasha. When you're doing this, it needs to become non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. It's not I will try, it's I will do. I will sleep early. I will make my celery juice. This is how you discipline yourself in your mind and in your habits. Like it's not just going to happen by you being in the program. I wish it was that easy. The change is not just going to happen by you guys attending the Zoom session or you reading the material. It's going to happen by you making a non-negotiable decision and stop fighting what we call your limitations. Right? So when we're fighting for our limitations, we're trying to find all these excuses of why we can't do something. So you make it non-negotiable, you stop fighting for your limitations and you fight for your possibilities. So you find a million ways of why it will work versus trying to find a million ways of why it can't work. And that's how change happens. So it's not by hoping, by wishing, it's not even by, writing down a plan, it's by making sure it's non-negotiable and taking action. And like nobody wants to talk about, that's why I said it's not, it's a challenge. It's simple, but it's not easy, because the part that's not easy is you having to override the objections. You having to take note when you tell yourself, I will try, or I cannot sleep early. You've cut it right there. Like there's no option once you say, I can't do this. There's no option. And when you say, I will try, one of the options you're inviting in is the option of failure. We don't want to invite in the option of failure. You want to be.
No, I'm completely convinced of what you're saying. I think it's very important that you wake up early and you sleep early. I think that this is optimum for your health and for your body. It's just because it's not only me, it's a whole family involved, and my husband comes back from work.
It's only you. I'm going to correct this for you. It is only you. You can't, none of you here as moms, as wives, none of us can be the best mom and the best wife. And then everything else you have to do in your life, if you work, if you take care of elderly parents, none of that is going to happen if you don't take care of you first. So we can keep using our family as the excuse always, and we all do, right? Because we're selfless in that way. But you keep using them as the excuse, they're going to end up suffering in the end, because it's like on the airplane when they say put your oxygen mask on first. They don't tell you to put it on your kid first, you first. So if you're not prioritizing you, whether that's sleep, whether that's time out, whether that's nutrition, you will not be able to take care of the people that you love. Plain and simple. So if any of you are using that excuse, oh, well, my family or my kids or my husband or my parents, they're the reason you're doing this. As women and as moms, that's just naturally built into most of us anyway, right? We have a responsibility towards our families, our husbands, our kids. We love them. We want to be able to do everything. You can't do everything if you're exhausted all the time, if your body is wiped out all the time, if you are if you're going to get to the point where you're burned out, how are you going to do anything for them?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So prioritize you, make a list of all the things and this is everybody, how are you fighting for your limitations, right? When we all do that, and we do it without knowing that we're doing that. We make all these arguments as to why something can't happen. Very rarely do we sit and make arguments for why something can happen or how to make it happen.
And you want us to do that over the weekend as well, if we're like
I would do it like
going
I
out
would hang up over right at, as soon as this call is done, when this is fresh in all of your minds, sit down and make a list of all the things that you're telling yourself of why you can't do something. And remind yourself that none of them are true. Not a single one is true. They're all just an excuse. They're all something that your critter brain is trying to use to sabotage your efforts. Make a list and share it on the group and we can have a conversation about it. But none of this is true. The thing with your husband coming home late, what is so your son sleeping at 10:30, 11. So all of these excuses, like we make up all sorts of things not to change our habits. So I want you to make a list of how you're fighting for your limitations, and then make a list of how you're going to fight for possibility. It takes, this is why when you hear people or like mentors or people say like, just think positive, just do positive. It's not just about thinking, it's actually taking the action. It's actually taking the time. It's actually thinking and evaluating, like, where are my thoughts taking me? It's not enough to just believe in something. It's not enough to just say, yeah, that's right. You know, that makes sense. You actually have to put in the work, and that includes evaluating your thoughts. And that includes putting in the discipline. Like I wish I could come in, you know, to everybody's house and be like, right, wake up now, make your celery juice now, drink your smoothie now. I can't, right? And this is where personal responsibility comes in. And this is how you become empowered. It's a daily practice, day in, day out. But the results are incredible. The results are incredible.
Yeah, it's just changing your habits for such a long time, like you're saying, it takes a bit of time and a different mindset to tell yourself that. Yeah.
But I'm gonna catch your thought again, Rasha, right there, right? There, though, and it's, I mean, I love that she's saying this and she's just being herself and putting herself out there, because you're showing us exactly how that works, how the brain keeps fighting for the limitation. Like it's okay, right, fine. But you know what? It's still hard to change the habit, right? It's like insisting. So it's great that we get to share this with the whole group so everybody can sort of understand how that process works. And then it's great that we can pinpoint to what extent our brain is continuously trying to take us down the wrong path, continuously, and just getting in our way. So instead of saying it's hard to change habits, I have to stay up with my son, my husband comes home late, I want you to think of why it will work. And those are things you've trained yourself, like even the thoughts are habits, right? Even the things you're thinking are habitual thoughts. So make a list of why it will happen versus all the excuses you've given yourself as to why it's going to be hard and it's not going to happen. All right. And everybody do this. Everybody do this. Rasha's just been brave enough to come in here and, you know, verbalize all of her limitations to us, even if she didn't mean to. But everybody's going through the same process. So everybody do the same thing. All right. Quick, Dina.
Okay, so my questions are a bit specific to the prep phase. So when you say vegetable broth, because you know here in Egypt we either prepare it or we buy it like cubes, Maggi cubes, or the Insta ones.
No.
So I really have to know how to do the vegetables broth and if it's anywhere in the materials we have.
There, yeah, you have the veggie broth recipe in there. Yeah, please don't use any cubes. Vegetable broth, chicken broth, no cubes, highly toxic. You have a recipe for the veggie broth in there, Dina.
Okay, and the substitute for bok choy and fennel bulb, I guess, and kale, I guess these are things that are not easy to find here.
They come and go. Kale, the direct substitute for that is spinach, and there's plenty of spinach now. There's also kale now. Yeah. Bok choy and fennel is it's actually easy.
Summer.
Yes, exactly.
Finocchia.
Yeah, and it's coming back into season, so you might be able to find it. But things that are like that, you can just omit. You can just replace them with spinach. You can replace them with artichokes. You can replace them with green beans, like any other green vegetable will work.
Okay, and I also saw cauliflower rice everywhere, and I didn't know if it's, I couldn't find it in the recipes.
The recipe is also there. I believe it's in that one I think is in the hybrid cleanse. If you look in the hybrid cleanse recipes, you'll find
Okay.
it in there, I think, yeah.
Okay, and we can replace black beans with red or white?
Yes, for the first 3 days, yes, you can do that.
Okay, my final question is when you said to really wash the vegetables or just peel them.
Mhm.
So I know that sometimes it's people say that the skin contains a lot of the nutrients inside the vegetables.
Yes.
So it's not try to avoid peeling and just try to wash them.
Yep.
So some use, I guess, vinegar, and they put vinegar inside the water. So I
Yep.
just wanted to know your opinion about it.
You can do that. You can soak them in, I would use apple cider vinegar to do that. Soak them and then just rinse them if you're worried about that. I personally don't worry too much about the pesticides or like whether I'm eating something organic or not. I prefer to focus on the benefit, so I don't peel anything. But if you're worried, then if it's not organic, then yes, then peel it. Otherwise, soak it in water and vinegar, and that should be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Sally, is that you with a question? Final question?
Just a short question about my sleeping pattern. I
Okay.
wanted to ask you that I sleep very interrupted. I sleep very early because I wake up 4 o'clock and continue all day.
Okay.
But I need to sleep sometimes earlier than 8. And because of the lifestyle in the house, many times I get, I wake up to join sometimes the family because interrupted sleep. I can wake up and perform for an hour and 2 and then go back again to sleep. But when I go back to sleep, I wake up every single hour.
So you go
I know
hang on. So you go into sleep, like you're in your bed at 8 o'clock and then what?
Yes.
And then you wake up at 10 and go
Yes,
cook?
yes.
Or what? I don't know.
No. I just see my kids sometimes, and
Okay.
or yesterday I had to wake up 9 o'clock because I had analysis. So when I made my analysis, I found myself khalas performing for another hour or so.
Okay.
You know, it's really very irregular. But I was very concerned when I started to focus 1 month ago that I wake up almost every hour. I had to do this, and I built it up because I was looking after my mom on a ventilator for years, and my night was my cortisol in the analysis were not regular at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
I never checked since then.
So is your 4 a.m. wake up, is that something that you can switch, or you have to wake up 4 a.m. every day?
I really take the benefit of it, try to 5 o'clock have my walk and start my early, do my work. I enjoy the calmness, but I can push it. No problem.
I'm just thinking, I mean, if you can just, I mean, ideally between 10 and 5 is when you can sleep better and adjust to a deeper sleep cycle. So 8 to 4 is also great, except that you're not sleeping 8 to 4, you're waking up every hour, which means it might be a little bit too early in the evening for your body. So let's experiment if you can push from 4 to 5 even and go to sleep between 9:30 and 10. And then obviously food plays into this a lot. So when we change the nutrition, this is going to help. I would also ask your family members not to wake you up, right? Like you're going into bed, say good night, and that's it. You'll see them in the morning. And like, go ahead.
Yeah, I decided when you were explaining earlier that I have to do this. I didn't do it, but I have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're sleeping. You're already asleep. Okay.
I always make fun that how come I sleep that early, and I'm okay with it when they come and ask me something or decide that we're having something to do. I'm okay, but I shouldn't be okay about it.
You shouldn't be okay. Like if you're sleeping, you're sleeping. The other thing that will help with this is once we get into supplements, magnesium is a really, really important supplement to help with deep sleep. So that's something that we'll be incorporating later on. But I think for you, like your first step is just to give an instruction that I'm not to be interrupted. That's it. I'm done with my day. I'm going into sleep. That's it. Nobody wake me up.
Yeah, the question why early, yani at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I wake up every hour, you know. I noticed I'm on cortisone now.
So that's if you're somebody who goes to sleep, let's say 9 or 10 p.m. and then wakes up 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or only wakes up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., that is a sign of a weak liver. So remember I said the liver regenerates starting 10 p.m. and it's working really hard during the night to rebalance and basically, you know, undo everything that you've been doing to it during the day. So if it's working especially hard, if it's having to really get rid of a lot of toxins and really do a lot of healing, and it's going to heat up. This is why one of the reasons we also get night sweats. That's just a heated liver. It's going to wake you up between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m. That's a liver that's being worked too hard. So just pay attention to that. And it might get worse during the detox because we are going to be asking the liver to really, really cleanse and detox. But after a certain period of time, that should subside and the liver should not be working so hard at night and you'll be able to sleep without interruptions.
Thank you so much for your valuable input. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? Oh, there's some Q&As here. Amira. Okay, I already answered that for you. Thank you, anonymous attendee. Okay, well, Rasha, we already answered that. Okay, right, Rasha, I think. Did we already answer that? If I take my smoothie before my workout and his cardio, will just eat a snack after. Is that enough to replenish my body? Yeah, you can just have like dates or something after your workout. That's more than enough to replenish your body, definitely. Okay, ladies, with that, we end today's call. Hang on. Do I see a raised hand? I'm not sure. Nahla. Okay, Nahla, go ahead. No? Nobody else has any questions? I'm just making sure.
One last question.
Go ahead, Noher.
Sorry, I was talking and I thought
the-
that I removed the mute.
But which one of you is talking now? I can't tell. Noher?
Yeah, I was asking to ask that videos will be available on the email على طول ولا the expiry date?
No, you'll always have them. Once the program is finished, you'll have the link to have the videos with you all the time.
Great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Nahla, go ahead.
Yes, Dana. I was doing my shopping today before this Zoom meeting, and when I was going through the recipes, I think this will be too much for me to eat. This is okay? I have to eat them, or
Right, that's a good problem to have, right? It's too much for me to eat. Once you go through the recipes and you make the quantities, I want you to eat slowly and I want you to feel satisfied. Obviously, don't ever force yourself to eat more than you want, but these are actually like medicinal quantities. Like you actually need that quantity of vegetables. We need something like almost like a kilo of vegetables a day in order to flush the liver out. So eat them slowly, take your time with it. You might find that you want to divide it up, the meals. Maybe you have some and then 2 hours later you have a little bit more. Find what works for you, but it seems like a lot because it is more than what you're used to eating, and we're so programmed that less is better, that just eat less, eat less, eat less. This is part of the diet culture. So one thing we're changing also in this program is that it's not about eating less, it's about eating better. And so when you have high quality, very nutrient dense foods, you want to maximize on that. So don't worry about that until you actually get into the rhythm of eating these foods, and let's see how you feel with it.
okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, ladies, have a great day. Tomorrow is your final prep day. Make sure you have all your questions asked, everything cleared up for you, because Thursday morning is when you are starting your eating plan. All right. Have a wonderful day, ladies, and I will see you all here again, same time tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana, very much. Bye.